Okay, guys, so today we are going to start with characteristics of quadratics. We're going to do the vertex form today, but first let's just kind of start with a review of what we've done in previous classes. We want to describe in words. We ask ourselves 4 questions. First one is there a reflection? And the answer is yes, because it begins with a negative. This guy here is saying, yes, there is a reflection. Then we want to answer, is there a shrink or a stretch or a compression? There is a compression. This number here, disregard the negative, that only shows reflection. 3/5 is less than 1. So there is a compression, a factor, 3/5. There is a horizontal translation because we see these parentheses. So there's a horizontal translation, 7 units left. Remember, inside the parentheses is always opposite of what we see. And there is a vertical translation of 2 units up. All right, good. Let's try the next review. And I don't like the black. Let's switch that over. Write an equation of vertex form with the following transformations. F of x, you could use y as well. Opens down, means there's a negative. Doesn't mention anything about a compression or a stretch. So there'll be no number here. The number will be 1. It is moving 2 units left. So left is usually minus. So it's going to be the opposite of 2 squared. And that doesn't mention anything about a vertical translation up or down. Again, describing in words here, the transformation. We are looking at no reflection. Because this number up here is bigger than 1. Just don't look at the fraction. Make sure it's bigger than 1. Well, there's no negative here. The bigger than 1 is for the stretch. So there's a stretch factor, 4/3. The horizontal translation, question number 3, is 1 unit right. You can just use R, that's fine. Opposite of minusing, going left should be going to the right. And then a vertical translation of 9 units down. We have one more review question here. Write an equation vertex form. I'm going to use y this time. That opens up, so I know it's going to be positive. A compression factor of 1/3, so that's that a value. Doesn't talk about moving left or right, so it's just x squared, no parentheses needed, and moves 10 units up, straight to the top. All right, so we're going to be talking about characteristics of the vertex form. The first thing we want to talk about is what is an axis of symmetry. We'll be using this abbreviation here, AOS. It is a vertical line that cuts the parabola in half and goes straight through the vertex. So this red line over here is your axis of symmetry, and basically you could fold the parabola upon itself. The line will pass through the h or the x value from the vertex, and it's always going to be written in the form of x is equal to h. So if you were looking here, the vertex of this parabola here is 3, -4, and it's going to be the x value there, and that's where that equation of x equals 3 is coming from. We also want to talk about whether it opens up or open down. We've talked about this before. If this a value is greater than 1, which means positive, then it opens upward. And if it's less than 1, which is less than 0, which is a negative number, then it opens down. Our vertex is always coming from the h and the k. Remember, h is always the opposite sign, so there's the h and k. Min or max, you have a minimum if your parabola opens up. So this point right there would be the minimum, and it would be the y value. So in this case, it would be a minimum is 1. The y value is 1. If it opens down, it will be a maximum, and it's this point right here. and this has a maximum. In this case, the y value, if you looked at this vertex, it'd be the 0.24. So it's going to be the y value, a maximum at 4. To find a y-intercept, you want to plug 0 into the equation, solve for y. We'll do some of those in just a minute. For the domain, it's the same answer for domain. It's all real numbers. I could plug any number in for x and get an answer. The range, however, which is your set of y values, if you look up here, it starts at 1 and continues up. So for this guy here, for the min, there's a min value. It's going to be y is greater than or equal to 1. And if it's a max like this problem here, it's all below there. So it's going to be y is equal to less than or equal to 4. All right, so let's try a couple of these. So these are the questions you need to ask yourself. Does it open up or open down? It's minus, which means there's a reflection. So it is doing this. So it opens down. The vertex comes from the H and the K. Remember, it's always the opposite sign from what's inside the parentheses. So it's going to be 5, comma, and then -2. The axis of symmetry comes from this x value here, or the h value. You can think of it either way. It's always in the form of an equation, x equals something. So it's going to be x is equal to 5. If it's a max or a min, if it's upside down, we do have a maximum value. And the maximum value comes from this y value right here. So maximum at -2, you only list the y value. To find your y-intercept, you're going to plug in 0, wherever you see an x, and then solve. That's going to leave you with -5 squared minus 2. That's going to be minus 25 minus 2. So y is going to equal -27, and we're going to write our y-intercept, showing that we plug 0 in for x. But I'll take either here for this. Domain is always all real numbers. And because there's a min, the range is heading down. So it's going to be y is less than or equal to whatever this, this value here is on the vertex of -2. Okay, let's try another. All right, so we want to see, does it open up or down? We look out in front, it's positive, so it opens up. The vertex comes from the H and the K, remembering from inside the parentheses, it's always opposite sign. The axis of symmetry comes from the x value right here, always in the form of the equation, x is equal to -2. If it's opening up this way, it has a minimum value, and the minimum value comes from the y value here. So it's a minimum at -3. To solve for your y-intercept, it's like you're plugging 0 in for x. We need to figure out what that y is. So it's going to be 2 times 0 plus 2 squared minus 3. That's going to be 2 times 2 squared minus 3. It's going to be 2 times 4 minus 3. So 8 minus 3. So I'm getting myself a value of 5. So there's our y-intercept. Domain is always all real numbers. And range, if we're going up, it's going to be greater than, it's above that y value that's sitting right here. So y is going to be greater than or equal to -3. All right, I'm going to do one more with you guys, and then you can do the rest on your own. If you're watching this video because you were absent or something like that, the key will be in Schoology. So you look in front, there's a plus, it opens up. Our vertex comes from the H and the K, always opposite from inside the parentheses. Our axis of symmetry happens where the x value of the vertex. So it's going to be x is equal to -3. If we're opening up like this, the vertex is on the bottom, making this a minimum. And the minimum value is the y value of the vertex. For y-intercept, we're going to plug 0 in for x and see what we get for our y value. So 0 plus 3 squared plus 7. 3 squared plus 7. Oop, that's not a 7. 9 plus 7. And I am getting 16. So that is our y-intercept. Domain for quadratics is always all real numbers. That didn't look very good. It should look like this. And our range is heading upward from this minimum value of 7. So it's going to be y is greater than or equal to 7. Okay, guys, so you try the other 3. And again, answer key. If you have any questions, just let me know.